Styra is all about reinventing policy and authorization for the cloud native stack. And the company got started, the founders actually came from a company called Nicira, and Nicira are famous for software-defined networking. And what they experienced when they created Nicira and soon after it was acquired by VMware was that they predicted that the cloud native stack is going to be so complex and so distributed, and at the same time developers are going to need speed of execution. So the way policy and authorization had to be solved in that environment had to change. So they fundamentally found a problem that they needed to solve, and they started Styra to solve that problem. The way they actually solved that problem is in two phases. The first phase was to create an open source project called Open Policy Agent. And Open Policy Agent now is becoming the de facto standard for policy and authorization for the cloud native stack. The second phase of the company is to take Open Policy Agent and then build a control plane, a commercial product, which is really around operationalizing OPA for customers. So when they put their environments into production, then they've got an enterprise-ready product to help them with policy and authorization. And if we take a step back on the market in general, what we're finding is that many companies now are moving towards a cloud native architecture app stack of Kubernetes, microservices, and so forth. And compliance and security have always been critical, but in this environment, they're going to be even more critical because the software development cycle is speeding up. We're doing more innovation and so forth. But at the same time, privacy is as important as it's ever been, if not even more important. So this is a foundational piece of security software, which is going to be helping organizations deliver their new applications on a cloud native environment. The way OPA fits in with Kubernetes and the rest of the environment. So one of the cool things about Kubernetes, in fact, all cloud native applications, is they've got a decoupled architecture, and that decoupled architecture has from day one been built so you can add extensions to that underlying kind of foundational architecture. And authorization is a great example of that. So for authorization, Kubernetes has something called the admission controller, where we kind of plug into Kubernetes to provide an admission controller. And the same is true for other technologies in the cloud native stack, like service meshes, like Istio and Envoy. They have a pluggable architecture as well, where OPA fits in. So OPA now has integrations with all the major cloud native application components for providing authorization. And with that, we are becoming the unified authorization and standardized authorization mechanism for all of the cloud native environments out there. OPA, Open Policy Agent, is now a CNCF project. It's at incubating status. And we've got hundreds of users of OPA, enterprises that fit into the financial sector, manufacturing sector, healthcare, high tech, etc., etc. There's been many talks from these public adopters, companies like Intuit and Reddit and Goldman Sachs and many others, Capital One and so forth, have presented at the KubeCon conference on how they've been utilizing OPA in their cloud native environment. And above that, we maintain a community, as an open source project. So we're supporting hundreds of companies who are using OPA in their cloud native environments. And by nurturing that community, we've got a large set of developers out there that are very fluent with OPA, the constructs of it, the language, and are using it within their environments. And typically what we find is, OPA is being used in pre-production, and when they go into production, then they need the enterprise capabilities what Styra provides. In addition to that, OPA is being leveraged by and contributed by other vendors in the marketplace as well. Notably Microsoft and Google are both leveraging OPA in their cloud native Kubernetes environments, as well as contributing code to OPA as well. And as an open source project, and we are the major contributors of this project, it's great to see other vendors adopting the project. So it's on its way to becoming a de facto standard for cloud native authorization. So Styra DAS provides two use cases for cloud-native architectures. The first, as I've said earlier on, is for Kubernetes. And most recently, we've added support for microservices as well. So we support Envoy. And for microservices, this really allows organizations to decouple authorization from those foundational authorization capabilities that are already found within those microservices architectures. And again, it helps organizations provide a unified structure for defining authorization across the cloud native architecture.